Young Sheldon's page reveals how dark Big Bang Theory could have been. Hello everyone, my name is Elena. Welcome to my channel. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. Of caution. Episode 13 of Young Sheldon's 6th season contains spoilers. The reintroduction of Young Sheldon by Paige creates a bleak vision of what the Big Bang Theory might have been. Sheldon's fellow kid genius is in worse shape than ever when he returns to young Sheldon. Her reunion with her parents doesn't address her long-standing problems, even if she eventually returns home following her escape attempt. Sheldon and Missy try to reason with her as she wants to attend parties and hang out with much older college boys. Her tragic outlook on life demonstrates how bleak the Big Bang Theory may have been if Sheldon's circumstances had turned out differently. Young Sheldon Season 6 plot takes an unexpected turn with Paige's return, following Mandy's battle with her domineering mother at her baby shower and Sheldon's efforts to launch his grant database project. Although she was persuaded to stop her self-destructive behavior for the evening by Missy and Sheldon, it is still unclear if this will serve as the impetus for Paige's eventual recovery. Her reappearance to young Sheldon, however, serves as a reminder of the Pasadena gang's crucial role in the Big Bang Theory. Related, Sheldon and Penny's greatest Big Bang Theory moment is being ruined by young Sheldon. In a frat party, a sleepover, and the mother of all blisters, Sheldon discovers Paige posing as a legal minor while slinking into college gatherings. However, with Missy's help, they were able to ultimately reason with the troubled kid genius, who heartbreakingly states, "The statement demonstrates how terrible the Big Bang Theory could have been if Sheldon hadn't met Leonard, his closest buddy, and the other Pasadena gang members." Even though Sheldon said he enjoyed being alone himself, having a strong support system of friends around him made his adult life much more enjoyable. Although Leonard and the others did have moments when they wanted to give up on Sheldon, they eventually learned how to handle them. Although it was never his purpose, they came to the realization that the socially awkward genius simply didn't know any better when it came to preserving relationships. Thus, occasionally he could be too direct to the point of injury. Sheldon also began to change with time. He became more understanding of the impact his actions had on his friends and more willing to make concessions. Even though he made very little progress, he couldn't have succeeded without the support of the Pasadena group from the Big Bang Theory. There is just one reason why young Sheldon is superior to TBD. The closeness between the entire Pasadena crew was consistently emphasized by the Big Bang Theory, something the prequel hasn't done a great job of lately with regard to the Coopers. When Sheldon got too much, Leonard and his California pals had the option to abandon him, unlike his family. But they remained by his side no matter what. Finding reliable pals who stood with him later on was undoubtedly aided by the genius's traumatic experience with East Texas Tech, who attempted to use him in young Sheldon. Young Sheldon's page reveals how dark the Big Bang Theory could have been. You won't believe the shocking truth. Hold on to your seats, because young Sheldon just dropped a bombshell that will forever change the way you look at the Big Bang Theory. In a shocking new interview, Paige, one of the breakout characters from Young Sheldon, revealed some truly jaw-dropping insights into the darker side of the TBT universe, and we're not talking about just a few awkward moments or minor quips. No, we're talking about a whole new side to the show that could have completely altered its tone and direction. The Big Bang Theory as we know it almost didn't exist in its lighthearted, nerdy charm. What Paige, Sheldon's genius childhood friend, has revealed about the TBD characters and their potentially darker backstories is enough to leave fans in utter disbelief. You thought you knew everything about the lovable nerds of the Big Bang Theory. Well, think again. Paige's bombshell revelations could have drastically changed the show's entire narrative, and it's enough to make you wonder if we really missed out on something more intense than we ever thought possible. Sheldon's childhood could have been way darker, a hidden side of genius. Sheldon Cooper is known for his quirky personality, rigid rules, and unique genius. Fans of The Big Bang Theory love his socially awkward antics and brilliant mind, but what if Sheldon's childhood was far darker than we ever imagined? According to Paige, Sheldon's formative years could have been much more tragic, with a deeper psychological impact from his family dynamics that was never fully explored in the show. Paige opened up about the darker aspects of Sheldon's upbringing that weren't touched on in TBDT. The show barely scraped the surface of Sheldon's complicated relationship with his father, George Sr., but according to Paige, it was a far more toxic environment. Sheldon was always the smartest person in the room, but he wasn't always treated that way by his dad, Paige revealed in an exclusive interview. George Sr. had his own demons, and Sheldon's brilliance often made him an outcast even in his own family. Imagine a version of Sheldon that was even more alienated from his family, with his father's alcoholism and lack of understanding pushing him further into isolation. The Big Bang Theory played it off for laughs, but if Sheldon's backstory had taken a darker turn, we could have witnessed a more emotionally tortured genius, one that viewers may not have been prepared for. Paige's revelation shows that Sheldon could have been a much darker character in a show that was mostly about the humor and his quirks. 2. Paige's own storyline could have turned TBBT into a psychological thriller. One of the most shocking revelations from Paige's interview was how young Sheldon could have turned Paige into the next great enigma of the TBDT universe. In young Sheldon, Paige is portrayed as a brilliant child prodigy with an attitude that matches Sheldon's, but with a slightly more complex personality. However, what if Paige had been given a much darker arc? What if she evolved into a character who dealt with deeper mental health struggles, or even had a sinister side that we never saw coming? Paige hinted at an alternate version of her character that was never fully explored. Paige was originally written to have a much more troubled background, darker, more intense, she admitted. I think if the writers had decided to take that route, Paige could have been a mirror image of Sheldon, but one who ultimately rejected society altogether, maybe even gone off the deep end. Can you imagine the Big Bang Theory universe with a character like Paige, someone who could have easily become a rival to Sheldon, but with a dangerous edge? It's easy to see how her presence could have turned TBBT into a more psychological drama, where the character's genius is their downfall. Paige's potential dark path could have made for a very different kind of show, one where the consequences of intellectual isolation and obsession were front and center. 3. The darker side of Leonard and Penny's relationship, the untold truth. Leonard and Penny's relationship is one of the most beloved aspects of The Big Bang Theory. Fans watch their on-again, off-again romance develop from awkward beginnings to eventual marriage, all with plenty of laughs along the way. But what if their relationship had been even darker, filled with tension and emotional manipulation? Could Leonard's insecurities and Penny's troubled past have been brought into sharper focus? In young Sheldon, Paige revealed that Leonard's backstory could have been far more complicated and tragic than we ever realized. Leonard's childhood wasn't all fun and games, Paige said, referencing Leonard's overbearing mother and the years of emotional neglect he suffered. If they'd taken that darker angle, Leonard could have had some serious issues with self-worth, which might have turned Penny's relationship with him into something much more toxic. Leonard's relationship with Penny wasn't just a quirky, lovable romance. What if it was a battle of two people trying to overcome deep-seated emotional trauma? Leonard's feelings of inadequacy and Penny's troubled childhood. Imagine Penny as someone constantly having to pull Leonard out of his emotional darkness, but at the cost of her own mental health. It would have made their relationship dynamic much more complex, and possibly a lot darker than what we saw on screen. 4. Howard and Bernadette's journey could have been a nightmare for their family. Howard Wolowitz and Bernadette's relationship in The Big Bang Theory always had its ups and downs, but they ultimately built a family together. However, Paige revealed that their journey could have gone in a much darker direction. Howard had serious issues with his mother, and Bernadette, though she's tough, also has a lot of unresolved personal issues, Paige said. If the show had wanted to go there, their relationship could have been much more dysfunctional. There were dark storylines where Howard could have dealt with deeper mental health issues that would have made his relationship with Bernadette far more complicated. What if Howard had truly struggled with his past insecurities and his complicated relationship with his mother, leading to emotional breakdowns? Could his relationship with Bernadette have been strained to the breaking point? With Bernadette's hidden insecurities and Howard's self-doubt, they could have been trapped in a toxic relationship that wasn't just about love, but survival. The dark side of their family dynamic could have led to serious struggles that would have dramatically altered the tone of the show. 5. Sheldon's broken future. How the show could have ended in tragedy. Finally, perhaps the most shocking revelation from Paige involves Sheldon's potential future. We know Sheldon as a brilliant but emotionally distant genius. But what if his future wasn't as happy or successful as we thought? Paige suggested that there were early drafts where Sheldon's future could have been far darker, filled with deep isolation and regret. Imagine Sheldon in his 40s or 50s, completely alone and isolated because he never learned to connect with others, Paige mused. The show could have shown a Sheldon who never quite made peace with the people around him. Instead of finding happiness with Amy, Sheldon could have ended up alone, haunted by the very things that made him who he was: his brilliance, his inability to relate to others, and his constant need for control. If The Big Bang Theory had explored a more tragic version of Sheldon's future, the show would have been far darker, leaving fans with a much less hopeful ending. Instead of the heartwarming conclusion we got, Sheldon's arc could have ended in a lonely, unsettling place, making the show a profound meditation on the isolation that genius can bring. 6. Conclusion. A different show altogether. Paige's revelations about The Big Bang Theory and young Sheldon could have radically changed the entire tone and direction of the shows. From darker character arcs to potential psychological turmoil, the TBBT universe could have been a far more intense, tragic, and complex landscape. What we saw instead was a lighthearted sitcom, full of laughs and heartfelt moments. But now, thanks to Paige's insider knowledge, we have a glimpse into what could have been, an alternate reality where the line between comedy and tragedy was blurred. So while we may never get to see this darker version of The Big Bang Theory, it's clear that the show had far more potential for drama and psychological depth than we ever realized. Could the show have been better or worse? That's for you to decide, but one thing's for sure: TBBT would have been a very different experience if Paige's darker revelations had become the heart of the show. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.